because Serie B is it's a wild league and a lot of things go on. So
it's a wild league. Well said. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of. We're gonna laugh a lot about our predictions.
Guaranteed to be wrong. Just
absolutely 100%.
Cittadella are the only team in Veneto for this season because Vicenza failed to get promoted. Venezia went up to Serie A.
I would be happy with Carrarese and Reggiana being last and second to last. We are going to be touching upon each and every one of the teams on the league, so stay with us, interact with us, and together we're going to be speaking Serie B. Roma! Welcome to episode 39 of Speaking Serie B. We have concluded the promotion playoffs. Cremonese will be joining Pisa and Sassuolo in Serie A next season, defeating Spezia at the Stadio Alberto Pico last night, 3-2. Spezia unable to mount would have been an improbable comeback in the end. So we're going to be talking all about that. But I will say the season is not done yet because there is still the playouts to be played. So it feels like the season's over, but it actually isn't because, as we know, in Italian football, it's not over until it's completely done and dusted. So to help me recap this thrilling playoff final, it is Elia, the Italian guy, SPEZIato, as they say. So, Elia, how are you doing? And how are you doing after this loss, the defeat yesterday?
Thank you, Jake. Good to be here with you as usual. And it is a sad ending to this great, awesome championship for Spezia. But there are people, there are other realities that, like Cittadella, for example, that got relegated. So there is nothing for me to be sad about because this Spezia was set up to, first of all, in light also of the conversation we had with Mr. Philip Latek, that is going to be the 21st episode of our podcast, Spaziamo sullo Spezia. He explained that their goal was to achieve sustainability, so contain the cost, and especially after the relegation from the Major League. So last season, because the current one, 2024-2025, is still ongoing since there are yet to be played the playouts. So the previous season, Spezia avoided relegation at the last game of the season after a very difficult situation in setting up players that no longer wanted to wear our colors.
Your fan favorite, Mirko Antonucci.
Who is, by the way, is going to come back from the loan to Cesena. And we're going to have Daniele Verde back as well. So we'll see if they're going to stay or if they're going to be repositions in other teams. So we'll have the chance to talk more about it in today's episode. But so we went above and beyond with achieving the finals. I assume this is my perception of things, because Spezia, as I was explaining, was set up just to contain cost and be able to maintain itself. And on the base of this lucid financial decision, it was also easy for Spezia to change ownership once that the Playtech had to leave. And Philip Playtech told me why he had to leave, but I'm not allowed to disclose it publicly. So it was easier to find the new ownership in light of how they managed all the finances of the team. Nevertheless, this allowed the team to be bought and sold then again from the Australian ownership to the new American, the current American ownership, but without making investments on the base of this structure. So we found ourselves with the priority of containing cost that did not allow a huge, solid roster of players. So Spezia arrived very tired to the playoffs, where in light of also the injuries that we had, we were not able to hold a candle to a team like Cremonese, structured to gain the Major League yet again. Many more players, a roster that had almost alternatives in every position, while Spezia had to play, for example, one above all, Mateu, our defensive player, on the left had to play all the playoffs with an injured rib. So that's not normal. We had Salvatore Esposito yesterday, was probably at 60% of his shape. A lot of players that were barely recovered just to play these finals. So I'm not surprised that after only drawing in the championship in Cremona, drawing in Cremona again at the playoffs, after losing at home in the last, in what should have been the last round of the season in La Spezia with Cremonese yesterday, if there was a team that could have beat us, it was Cremonese, and they proved themselves to be the team, according to my perception, that deserved to be promoted in Serie A. So chapeau, and now we'll see from where Spezia is going to be starting from. Please go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, that's a good, fair analysis. I think that's I'd say smart analysis, because after the game, you're obviously definitely it's normal to feel frustration and regret. I guess rimarico, I think that's the word in
say that again.
Rimarico.
Rammarico. Yeah, honestly, sorry if I interrupt you immediately. There is none of that, because our guys put up a fight. We almost recovered again a 3-goal loss, basically. We came back, like our players did everything they could. Everybody gave their best. So as long as you do your best, there aren't any regrets. And Spezia fans understood that, even after the defeat in our nest, basically, the Popolo Bianco saluted the team, because we recognized that they did everything they could. So we can accept this kind of defeat. There is nothing wrong about it. And I'm glad that the fan base proved this kind of mentality, this kind of experience.
Maturity.
That's the word that I was looking for.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, it's definitely, a missed opportunity. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to look back once the dust settles and look at it and say, hey, look, Spezia still had a very, very good season, going third place and fighting for the second place in a season where, I think a lot of Spezia fans were just hoping to survive after what happened last season. And then, going, I think, until December, until their first defeat of the season. Right. And, obviously just running out
with a
little bit of steam, but, that happens. And I think it's good to build off for next season. Now there's still some questions. Definitely, I think Pio Esposito, I don't know if he's going to stay, just given the quality
he won't. Already yesterday at the end of the game, he basically say goodbye to the fan base. So did Salvatore Esposito. I mean, Francesco Pio did it clearly by thanking all the fans, and Salvatore was already talking in past tense and the interview post game. But this is the real question. Are we going to be able to do this again? And how will be Spezia structured for next season? Are we going to be able to be again among the protagonists of next season, or there will be restructure of it all? And at that point, it's going to be a coin flip. Say that again. Sorry, Jake. What about Luca D'Angelo?
Well, I don't know. Is he going to stay? How's the situation there?
First of all, I'm personally not a journalist. I don't have any contact with procuratori, with lawyers of the players. But I don't enjoy the market. Transfer is the aspect of soccer that I enjoy the least. And then I learned not to trust anybody, not to trust any contracts, not to trust anything that they say, because we learn from our own mistakes. So we know that we had a coach that re-signed the contract, said that he would have stayed. The team, the club, went to work to live upon the request of the manager, of the coach, and then he left. So just time will tell. We'll just without naming him, but Vincenzo Italiano.
Kind of off topic, but he did actually sign a contract with Bologna, a contract renewal. So I even said to Elia, like, oh, Bologna fans, watch out. He might, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, in Italian we say that he's the kind of person that, at least he proved himself to be, the kind of person that likes to keep one foot in two shoes. Like, for now I'm saying that I'm staying with you, but if I find a better opportunity, never mind, I'm moving on. You know what I mean? So for now, he signed the contract. Then we'll see. Let's say the Chelsea or Manchester City is going to call him, goodbye, Bologna. You know what I mean? But and again, in a way, we can't blame them. There is nothing wrong about wanting to improve and grabbing the opportunities that you're able to attract through your talent and through your results. But at the same time, you need to prove yourself to be honest morally and say, look, before signing with you guys, I still have a few offers on the table. So let me first consider those and see if I'm really willing to remain with you and continue on together. So that's what we didn't like. It's not that he left, it's how he did it. How you do anything is how you do everything. How you do what you do labels you. So that's what annoys us. That's all. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Back to 2025. But
playoffs. Tell us about the playoffs, Jake. What's going on? I know nothing about it because I've been so sucked into the playoffs that I don't know what's going on. Are they going to give a 50-point penalties to all the teams so that Sampdoria can be promoted in Serie A? What's going on?
No, that's definitely not going to happen. But I just open up the thing and it looks like, for you guys in Serie B, not me, obviously. Cittadella is going to Serie C.
Don't make me feel bad. Don't make me feel bad.
Spezia will have to play Palermo next year, and Palermo looks like is going to get Inzaghi, as conversations is still ongoing.
I heard that the day after Pisa got promoted. I said, come on, guys. He gained the major league, and now you think he's going to go back to Serie B with Palermo? And the explanation is that he's aware of his limits and probably he doesn't want to be sacked after, first few weeks in the major league, learning from his previous experience.
I don't know. I'll make this quick, but I think it's just very frustrating if you're a Pisa supporter. I mean, you get promotion after 30 plus years. You have a really solid coach, and maybe this time he had some bad stints at Benevento and Milan and Bologna, but maybe this time, since this is his team, this is his squad that's been promoted, I don't know. But anyway, yes.
Even that, sorry, I don't know if you watched the press conference after the game that gave the mathematical promotion to Pisa. He said, I'm really enjoying the city. I am happy here. I want to continue. I'm happy to stay. So, and now he's leaving. So you can't trust anybody,
Yeah. So it does look like the playouts is the thing is, like, I'm also getting kind of lost with this news, just because it's every day there's like something new and there's just so many conflicting reports and stuff. But it does look like this playout will be with Sampdoria and Salernitana, with Brescia getting automatically relegated to Serie C with the -4 point penalty. So it will be Sampdoria, Salernitana in the playout, and it looks like it's scheduled for, nothing official yet, but it looks like it is going to be played on June the 15th. I will make sure write that. Where am I going? But I think it was the 15th and the 20th, and I'm still.
And it is official that the playout will be played until Sampdoria will be officially saved.
Yeah.
They'll be playing again and again and again and again until Sampdoria can stay up, or they're just going to extend the amount of teams that are going to be part of the Serie B season next season.
It was like an interesting point. They're saying like, well, I mean, this playout maybe will be kind of useless because whoever loses will make an appeal that, it was a campionato, I think, falsato, because Brescia had not been doing these payments since February, I think it was. So they'll make that argument and they'll try to expand the league to 22 teams. So
is Cittadella doing something to, I don't know,
No, I think it's very, very like I've been saying, it's very unlikely, and I think it's the club's best interest just to look into Serie C, because
and there haven't been any update on that side.
No, but unfortunately, I'm kind of bringing up some bad news and some kind of taking this kind of a dark point in this episode, but unfortunately today we got news that the vice president of the club, Giancarlo Pavin, sadly passed away. I think it was yesterday, on the June 1st. Yesterday, June 1st. He was 83 years old. Historic. They say in Italian it's like storico fondatore, I think. Historic founder. He was one of the founders of AS Cittadella when they merged in 1973. He was the one founder, and he's been a lifelong for there. He's been seeing promotions.
A piece of history.
Relegation, yes. So he unfortunately passed away yesterday. And so, yeah, it's another sad moment in this. It seems like it's a cursed season for Cittadella. I mean, just so much has gone bad. But rest in peace to Giancarlo Pavin, because he will be missed. And it's a very very sad moment.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So carry on. I just want to show some of the comments. Maurizio Bentivegna writes us in Italian: Ciao Elia, veramente dispiaciuto per la mancata promozione dopo un fantastico campionato. Hi Elia, I'm truly sorry for the missed promotion after a great championship. Yeah, yesterday it would have been the coronation of a record season for Spezia. So we missed the cherry on the pie. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, the cherry on top.
Yeah, we missed the cherry on top. But again, I think there are no regrets because everybody did their best. Of course, it's unlikely that we are going to be able to do a back-to-back season, in light also of what you were mentioning earlier, that a lot of the key players, if not all of them, might leave. Francesco Pio Esposito, it's the paperwork, let's say, of Francesco Pio Esposito is owned by Inter, and they've already said that they would have considered probably leaving him in La Spezia should Spezia have gained the major league, but they want him to play in a major league team unless they actually want him back in Inter Milan, because we saw after the way the Champions League ended, they need all the help that they can get, I assume.
I was about to say, Spezia went out with dignity, and Inter lost 5-0 to PSG.
Never happened before on a championship final to lose with a 5 goals lead. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so
they made history.
Yeah, well, one Inzaghi brother celebrates this year. The other ends with 0 trophies on the Inter touchline.
Yeah, they had the possibility to win the championship, Coppa Italia, almost a triplete, and they missed them all. Sorry, what were you saying, Jake?
Oh, that was another thing. I was kind of hoping that Pippo Inzaghi stayed at Pisa, because that would have been nice to see a Inzaghi derby on the touchline.
Right.
But it doesn't look like it's going to be happening. But hello to our friend Wojciech. I think, did I get it this time?
Wojtek Zurawski, I think, is if I remember well, the way he corrected us. Please go ahead if you want to read the comment, please, Jake.
Yes, he says, "Ciao ragazzi, I will watch you guys later. I'm on the road now and looking forward to seeing you next season." So thank you for participating. And he says, by the way, I'm so sorry for Spezia. We all are, but once again, it's sport. And I was going to say to Elia, just be happy you're in Serie B, because Cittadella is in Serie C, and like Inter, Cittadella lost 2 not promotion finals, but 2 finals in 3 seasons. So it could be a lot worse. And yes, even today is the 6-year anniversary of the 3-0 final in Verona, where Cittadella lost the promotion final to Hellas Verona, 3-0 at the Bentegodi, coming back from a 2-0 deficit. So it's a sad day for both Cittadella and Spezia, let's just say.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said in the beginning, that, although it was a saddening experience because we were playing at home, 12,000 Spezia fans ready to celebrate something that we have not been able to celebrate before that way, because we've been promoted that in the full pandemic time, so nobody was allowed at the stadium, although they all celebrated on the road. And but there is no reason to be sad, because we missed a great goal, but it was even a goal on site at the beginning of the season. So we got to appreciate what we were able to build along the way, and hopefully to build upon this experience, to, as I said, Cremonese was built to gain the promotion. Let's get where Cremonese was, with a solid foundation of players, financial sustainability. Now we have the nest. The stadium has improved a lot, but it's a journey. So let's enjoy the path of this journey and not label it based on the final result, because the final result, yesterday defeat can only be a failure if we stop trying, if we stop to walk this journey, and we're not going to. So let's enjoy the process. For us, it would have been a very historic moment, because it was June 1st, and June 1st of 1986, Spezia was able to gain an historic promotion with a draw in the Alberto Pico with Pistoiese, a Spezia team that was without ownership. Basically, the ownership had to fail for bankruptcy, and they were the fans that paid for the team to go to play abroad and everything else. Nevertheless, the players that were getting their salary by sharing the income of the stadium for the rest of the season were able to carry the season at the end and gained an historic promotion from C2 to C1 back then. Lega Pro had C2 and C1, so it would have been an historic June 1st yet again, and we would have celebrated the birthday of an historic captain who's now the manager of the youth of Spezia Calcio, Beppe Vecchio, that celebrated his birthday yesterday. But again, it didn't happen. So today we're celebrating instead Jennifer Platek's birthday.
Yeah, well, so we've been, talking a lot about Spezia. Well, we're going to be talking about Cremonese in just a little bit, but on the flip side, yes, it is, good to be proud, and it's a great season for Spezia. However, I did say in the last, I was about to say podcast, but this is more of a show, Yeah, so the thing is, I did say before the final is that you'd never know when these type of things are going to come around. Cittadella played their last playoff game, their last final in Venezia, 1 goal away. They were 1 goal away from Serie A promotion, a historic promotion, and they've never been back there ever since. And now they're in Serie C.
That's the fear. That's the fear. As I said, what are we gonna do from here?
Nearly 4 years later, and they're in Serie C. So you just never know when these things are going to happen, and you just never know when you're going to get back there. So I think,
absolutely,
yes, there is some, I think you said there is no regret. It was a similar situation for Cittadella, where I think there was a lot to be proud of, because, doing what Cittadella is doing with their budget, with their resources, it's incredible. It's just, man, they were this close.
I know. I mean, it's not that it doesn't sting or it doesn't burn. It's annoying as hell, but we gotta look. We decide what side of the coin we're going to be focusing our attention, and I rather think about the best that we can get out of it, in the hope that the new ownership that said that they are not in a hurry to. They just arrived, so they're not in a hurry to do things right. It requires time. You have the resources. Charlie Stilitano is now, on the board. So there is everything on this. The stage is set for Spezia to continue this journey. So I don't see why I would have to decide to worry. But if you want to, let's get into Cremonese aspect of the playoffs.
And one more thing about Spezia is just, it's more about the game. It was just, yes, the final minutes were good, and but I don't know if the score still tells the full story, because for 80 minutes, I'll be honest, Spezia were just very disappointing.
Okay, this is a great assist that you made, also to get to start to talk about Cremonese. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it was just, obviously Cremonese deserved it, but I was disappointed by Spezia, just given, since it was a final, they were playing at home. I don't know if that kind of factor kind of made them too relaxed, or maybe too tense, just given that they only they knew they only needed a draw, and they knew that we have the home fans that behind them, so this is more of a quote unquote easier test. But it just, they were very flat for all of the game, and it took those 2 goals to kind of put them into life, and they had that little rally at the end. But it was obviously too little, too late. And this is a great transition into Cremonese, who maybe Spezia could take inspiration from Cremonese, because last year at this time they did lose the final to
That's
Venezia,
another good point.
and they were able to rebuild. They had some inconsistencies this year, but they were able to do it. And I think this was just a really, really good performance all around. Like I said, last 10 minutes could have been managed easily, but at that point they had ran their race, and it was just a really, really good performance, or not good, excellent performance by them all around. And I think we were waiting for them to, kind of get that consistency. Well, I think we did see that consistency towards the end of the season, and those big players like Vasquez, Johnson, De Luca, the experience in there, like Piquel, and who's the one of the defenders, Barbieri was there. So it was just a really well-rounded squad, and Giovanni Stroppo once again gets the better of Luca D'Angelo.
Luca D'Angelo in the post game mentioned him a lot. He could tell that he feels it. Now, you made a bunch of great points. I didn't want to interrupt your train of thoughts, but so I think looking at the numbers, looking at the stats, Spezia proved to be a better team than Cremonese during the championship. But on a toe-to-toe, Cremonese has always been able to come out on top versus our Eagles. So I just think that in light of how it developed, how the championship developed, we just have to accept that under those circumstances, they've been a better team. I think, as you said, Cremonese was unreliable in their performances throughout most of the championship, but they got into the right form mentally and physically at the right time. While Spezia started very strong, and then he started to perform less and less consistency, with less and less consistency. And this was, I think, because of how the two teams have been built. Cremonese has a bunch of alternatives. As you said, you mentioned a bunch of valuable players. I'm looking at the squads. Azzi was an awesome player. Foligno is a player that Spezia wanted to add to his squad during the winter market, but the ownership, the Playtech ownership that was about to leave, leaving space to the Australian ownership, did not allow that transfer to be to materialize, basically. So would we add the possibility to buy Foligno, we wouldn't have to force Matteo to play with a broken rib for most of the playoffs. Bertola was out. The alternatives are two players from the youth team with no experience, 15 minutes each in the whole championship. So these are the kind of mistakes that were at the base of it all, in preparation, in setting up to be the protagonist of the Serie B. The goal for Spezia was to avoid relegation. I do agree with you that arrived where we were arrived, we did not perform well enough at the beginning of the second leg of the final. We were playing in our own nest, and Luca D'Angelo said in the second game, in the second leg of the game, after drawing in Cremonese, he said, I'm not going to be satisfied with only a draw. He really wanted to win, also because of the rivalry with Stroppa, that is basically his black sheep. But I don't know if Spezia wasn't able to do to impose their game as they normally do in the first 15, 25 minutes of each game anywhere we played, because, as you said, we were too comfortable or having the possibility to rely upon the two results, or simply because Cremonese didn't have anything to lose at that point and just did not allow the ego to express themselves. So yet again, I just think that Cremonese proved at the last game, the one that mattered the most, to be a better team. So I made peace with it, because there was nothing we could have done more in light of the players we had. Vignali, during the week, was considering needs to get a surgery on his knee. Instead, he was in the bench and he played 15 minutes. What more can we ask to these kind of players? So,
yeah, that was the kind of attitude, I think, that was missing from the first part of last season when you
And
said,
that's why fans love these guys, regardless of the final result.
exactly.
You nailed it.
That's really all you could ask for as a fan,
Exactly.
as a team that's not technically not wasn't really planned to be there, or
Exactly.
really.
You mentioned De Luca. De Luca wasn't for Cremonese among the starting 11 in the Cremona game. He only played in the last few minutes in the second half, and you could tell how difficult it was for our defensive line to hold him, basically. So coming back, Stroppa decided to have him among the starting 11 from the very first minute. He scored 2 goals. Our alternatives in the same line, in the offensive line, was Francesco Esposito. That wasn't any stop because he almost injured himself in Cremona to his right knee, I think. And the alternatives around him have always came with a big name and a big curriculum, let's say, like Cholak, only 1 goal in the whole season. Falcinelli, it was crucial last year to avoid relegation, only 1 goal in 2 seasons. Lapadula, it should have been the guy that resolved it all for us as far as experience, charisma, and skills. 4 goals, 2 counted for nothing because there were 2 losses, and then he scored 2 goals in a game that gave us 3 points. It costed us a loss at home with Catanzaro. So there you see the alternatives. They place De Luca, and he scores 2 goals. We have to continue with Di Serio, Francesco Pio. Di Serio scored only 2 goals, I think, in the whole season, if I'm not mistaken, because the best alternative, Soleri, has been out for half of the season. So
Yeah.
What can we do about that? You know what I mean? So it is what it is. We just got to accept.
Yeah, and just back to Cremonese, Vantaputi has 13 assists this season. He got another one in this game. Yeah, I think Cremonese, like I've been kind of saying all year, they probably quietly have the strongest roster on paper. Now that didn't quite transpire into getting second or first place, but they were still, like I said, strong favorites for the playoffs, and they certainly showed themselves early in the game with De Luca scoring, and then I think he scored another one off the header, I think it was Colocolo on the header, and then he eventually scored in the 79th minute. But talk
You're right.
about not closing out the game in the way that Giovanni Stroppa wanted. I mean, it was just pure chaos in the final 10 minutes of that game when Vignale and Esposito scored. I mean,
Spezia started to play as they probably should have approached the whole game, only once they had nothing else to lose, because fear became desperation.
And that's, I think, what every Spezia fan is just going to be thinking about all summer, is just what if they played with that even for half of the game.
Delving into it, this is probably the only regret we could have. You're right. Yeah, that we could have approached it differently. But in the post game, we did a Speziato marathon. We went live for 3.5 hours with fans, journalists, an ex-player like Giovanni Pisano. Giovanni Pisano is a bomber that stayed with us for 2 seasons, like 68 games and 38 goals, like unbelievable. Everybody loved him. And we asked him, Giovanni, do you think that, we gained the promotion when the Alberto Pico was empty, so there wasn't the pressure of all this love that the Popolo Bianco has for the team. So do you think that the Alberto Pico charged the tension for the players too much? His answer was that the Alberto Pico is not for everybody. So there are certain kind of players that they get pumped, and other kind of players that get fearful, having to prove themselves to the fans, basically. And that also might have, we had 2 results out of 3. It was easier for us to go through than to lose. So we threw it away more than Cremonese won it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's definitely another frustrating thing, is just because just needed a draw, and I don't know if that kind of played into the minds, maybe made them, like I said, too relaxed or whatnot. But for, like I said, for 80 minutes, I think just Cremonese totally bossed the game, and
absolutely
totally different when Vignale scored that goal. And I think maybe if the game went on for 10 or 15 minutes, I think Spezia do find that goal. But there was a lot of time wasting. There was 2 red cards shown. So, I guess credit to Cremonese for just slowing the game down, kind of sucking the energy out of the Alberto Pico, because I think
they did what any other team would have done, what we would have done in their position. Yeah, they started, at least we put up a fight, and they did started to sweat in the final minutes, that's for sure. I just wanted to say hi to Yena76, that's who writes, or she writes, I see both 2 people in the picture. Forza Sampdoria, sempre. Like, how do you say? Go Sampdoria always? How do you say it in English, Forza Sampdoria?
Yeah, that's the rally cry.
We touched upon Sampdoria earlier, and we know that it is official that they're going to give a 50-point penalization to all the teams, and they're going to be promoted in Serie A. So we're happy, guys, that you got somebody that helps you all the time.
Don't listen to Leah.
We're just kidding.
We still don't know what their fate is going to be. Are they going to be playing in the playoffs? Is it going to be automatic readmission to Serie B? So we'll find out in a few days. But
on that note, Jake, let's stay tuned, because we don't know. We're going to be waiting for the end of the playouts to do the call, basically, to do the live, the recalls, the predictions we made before the season. So in the meantime, you can subscribe to both of our channel, Elia the Italian Guy and Cheetah Calcio USA. And where else can they find your content, Jake?
Yes, Cheetah Calcio USA and cheetahcalciousa.com for everything about AS Cittadella. You could find me there, and follow me for upcoming Serie C news, because I will be following that league right now. And actually, an important thing we should mention here is the Serie C final is actually being played right now between Ternana and Pescara. Leg 1, currently in the first half. It looks like Ternana has received a red card in the 14th minute, so they're going to be down a man for most of that game. Who would you want to prefer to see in Serie B?
Okay, so I was looking them up, because Ternana, I learned to appreciate Ternana last season, where they were in the Serie B, and I had the possibility to go to visit Terni last time that I was in Italy. So I made a friend with Matteo Pera, who took us around. He showed us the city at night. We went to visit the waterfalls. What is the name of the waterfalls we went to visit? Kitchen. Evike. The waterfalls that we went to visit with Matteo Pera. What is the name?
Oh, God.
We were in Terni. Then we went to see also Narni, which is the city, the village where the Narnia Chronicles are from. The Marmore. Thank you very much. The Marmore waterfall. So I hope that they're able to reclaim a Serie B spot. But at the same time, I really like the Pescara coach. Now I don't remember his name, but I really like him as a character. What's his name?
Zeman, I think. Yes. Zeman. Z-E-M-A.
Hold on a second. Let me check. No, isn't it Silvio Baldini?
No, it is.
As far as I know, it's Silvio Baldini.
No, it's Zeman. It's.
So they said Silvio Baldini.
I'm not sure. I haven't.
Yeah, we're not prepared. I'm not prepared enough. I'm sorry.
I'm not prepared either. But when I think of Ternana, I think last season losing the playoff final against Bahrain. This kind of connects back to Spezia, where
Silvio Baldini, as far as I know. I just googled it. So.
Oh, Spezia scored a goal in the 95th minute. It was one of the last kicks of the game in Terni, which finished 1-1. That result basically kept Spezia in Serie B. If it wasn't for that goal, they would probably be in Serie C right now. So that's another thing that take into consideration, that you were on the brink of Serie C. Now you're on the brink of Serie A.
Exactly. What are we complaining about? As sad as it might be to miss the final game, what can we complain about? That's the reality. You're right, Jake. I agree. So this is what I found just briefly Googling the situation in light of my ignorance, let's say. The current head coach of Pescara Calcio is Silvio Baldini.
That's not correct.
No?
It's Zeman. Look up Pescara Zeman.
I'm sorry.
Zeman.
Okay, well,
AI
we'll
is
dig
wrong
into
again.
it a bit more. Please carry on. Which one of the two teams would you like to see back in Serie B next season?
Well, we're not gonna be playing any of them. So even in Serie C, because one of these teams is probably going to be in Girone B. So it doesn't really matter. Look, I think Pescara hasn't been back to Serie B in a while. It would be good to see them back. However, Ternana is an interesting club. They have I'd say a unique color, because you don't often see green and red together in a combination. Sure, it looks like a Christmas tree, looks like that. And their stadium is very interesting. It has like 3 decks in a ring, but I don't know. I'd say maybe Pescara, just given that they haven't been back in a while, and I think it'd be nice to see them back, even though I probably won't be following Serie B much, and it will be I'm not going to be really paying attention. So
right.
That's kind of who I want to go in. I'm actually looking into Serie C right now. There are some issues with a lot of clubs registering for the next season.
Yeah, because they increased the standards yet again.
I think so, and you just unfortunately the economic situation for a lot of clubs is not good. So there's a lot of debt, and they can't pay it, and the registration deadline is coming up. I think that's the 6th. So I think Cittadella, as far as I know, should be good. I hope they're good. Hopefully they're not.
They're financially sound.
Sorry,
they're financially sound.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that just don't do what Lecco did, and forget to put a stadium, and then all of a sudden you're in this legal battle. But no, there's I guess not. Zeman is not the coach of Pescara. He left.
I'm still digging, and all the information that I can find lead to Silvio Baldini.
Yeah, I think you might be right, Elia. So you do win. That's another point.
No, it's not about winning. It's that I would have been extremely sad if they would have sacked him as a coach, because a friend of mine loves him and he's been sending me videos of his press conferences. So I would like him to see gain a better stage than the Lega Pro. Although I looked at the standings, and Ternana finished way ahead of Pescara. Like Ternana was the second team, 74 points, and Pescara behind in 4th place with 67 points. So for what they gained during the season, Ternana would deserve it. But we all know that playoffs are just a lottery. So for Baldini, I would like to see Baldini in Serie B.
I will say you do get to have a little bit of 2 rivalries basically next year with Carrarese and Virtus Entella, which is another Ligurian team. So 2 local. I don't know how much Entella is kind of a rivalry, but
I don't know either, because I don't remember playing it, probably in lower categories when we were in Serie C. I honestly can't speak to that. Definitely with Carrarese, and always with Reggiana, even with Modena, there is good rivalry. But, I think as of right now for Spezia, Serie B is the right dimension, the right dimension. We need to become a better club to deserve to become one of those. They call them in England. They call them, it's a lifting club. A lift club. The yo-yo. There you go. They go up and come down like Empoli. So and then after that, maybe you can hope for something better. But it's a journey, so it takes time. I don't know if you want to continue on, or this is a good time to wrap up today's episode. I don't know what else you got on schedule.
We've talked about enough. Just one more thing about Serie C is given that Ternana or Pescara is going to go up, that does mean that Cittadella has a big challenge on their hand in trying to dethrone Vicenza in Girone A next year. So that's going to be, I think, if Cittadella is aiming for that top spot, as we know, gets automatic promotion, they're going to have to somehow dethrone the powerhouse, I'd say, of Vicenza, which they have shown it is possible in the end of the season. But once again, kind of wrapping up, really good season for Spezia. Unfortunately, the way it ended. However, we have to give complimenti to Cremonese for an even better season, and they were fully deserving of their promotion on Sunday night. And yeah, we wish them, Pisa and Sassuolo, well in Serie A, and we welcome to Serie B Monza, Empoli, and Venezia. And we still wait one more from Serie C to come up. That'll be Pescara or Ternana.
Yeah, speaking of your team, was a very short-lived Serie A for Venezia. That's now back in the Serie B.
I don't know, because
financial challenges, big financial challenges.
Paulo, they sold. I don't know if
Palermo.
Di Francesco was the right man to lead. I was a little surprised about Empoli just because they started really well. They were kind of mid-table, kind of similar to
Verona needed to be saved, so someone else had to go down but them. So
yeah, here we go again.
No, you hate when I say these things, but then if I don't, you poke me, you invite me to. So I know you like it after all. So allow me to speak up my mind, all right?
All right. Well, that's going to be it. And yeah, I think, Elia, you could kind of end this episode, but we don't exactly have a date set for the next episode.
Right. But anyway, I was hoping for Spencer to get promoted also because next season we could have been able to do like a program that covers all the major leagues, Serie A, Serie B, and Lega Pro. But we'll come up with something for next season. In the meantime, do stay tuned, subscribe to both of our channels, turn on the bell to stay tuned and know when we're going to be doing our next live, because we have to do the live where we're going to analyze what were our predictions before the season. We're going to be waiting for the results of the play out to pin out, to understand how this season really is going to end. And stay with us, because we don't know exactly when, but we will continue to speak. So we will be speaking Serie B.